Tonight, my take is about a city far away from Kenya. I'm talking about the city of Damascus, the capital of Syria. In fact, it is referred to as the oldest capital in the world. But going by local politics, I posit tonight that Damascus may as well be the capital of Kenya. But first, some context. The biblical story begins with a man initially named Saul, Saul of Tarsus, referred to by some as the Pharisee of the Pharisees. As it turns out, he was on a mission to the city of Damascus to arrest and imprison the followers of Jesus Christ and return them to Jerusalem to face punishment. Now, on the road to Damascus, he experiences a supernatural encounter where he meets and recognizes Jesus, who asks him, "Why are you persecuting me?" Now, what followed was a dramatic transformation of the man, from persecutor to chief evangelist of Christ's teachings. Even his name changed from Saul to Paul. Just over 2,000 years later, Kenya is awash with perfect copybook clones of the road to Damascus.
And that is why we want to ask all Kenyans, wherever they are, to find it important and necessary to contribute to the housing fund, which is not a tax but a saving, to create employment for our young people.
Now, that was sometime in Jerusalem. Then came the trip to Damascus, complete with that transformative moment somewhere along the road.
I want to assure the people of Kenya, this team I see here, and when I listen to the people of Kenya, because I listen a lot, once a new government is sworn in, that housing levy will have to be abolished so that we restore the dignity of the payslip.
From Saul Gachagua to Paul Gachagua. Then, if you're ever unsure of a politician's Christian name, just go with Paul. You won't go wrong. And you can even start with Saul, depending on what they're saying at that particular moment. For example, here now is Saul Ndindi Nyoro.
Look at our neighbors without naming names, and I can say them because it is important for us to base our arguments on facts. If you look at countries like Zambia, even our neighbors in Ethiopia, and several others in Africa, you can see that Kenya actually have made many leaps forward. And that has been based on deliberate decisions in terms of stabilizing our debt area around paying of interest rates. Because even before we talk about the plate, even before we talk about the microeconomy of individuals, the country needed to stabilize.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Paul Ndindi Nyoro.
The problem is that you cannot teach figures for too long. It catches up with you, and especially when it is time for repayment. You should be borrowing for development alone. But even by doing the math, even with a pencil, if we take our revenue collection, you remove CFS, you remove salaries, you're already in red. It means the money we borrow, some of it is for budget support, and clearly that money is for recurrent.
Saul to Paul, and sometimes Paul to Saul, and back to Paul. A study of the Kenya's myriad road to Damascus moments is yet to be done. But from a casual eye, politicians discover their Paul the moment their fortunes change on the power ladder. When they're fired, impeached, demoted, transferred, or otherwise moved downwards. Humility meets them, and they suddenly discover their souls and their brains. The discovery has at times been so dramatic that some sage that lived in Jerusalem years ago could not withhold his amusement.
Can you suddenly become very clever? Sudden, umekuwa very clever. Wewe ndio unaweza kila kitu. Wapi?
I don't know what you make of that, but it sounds to me like wisdom laden on what to do when you witness another road to Damascus moment from your political leader. Treat it with a pinch, if not a huge scoop of salt. That's my